U5 lesson 9. Okay, we're going to look at saving money now. We've talked about credit cards. We're going to look at saving money. So what options do we have for saving or investing money? There are stocks. There are tax-free savings accounts. There are bonds. There are high interest savings accounts. There are GICs, which are guaranteed. Gotta learn how to spell here. Guaranteed investment certificates. There are mutual funds. There are ESPs, Registered Education Savings Plans. And there are RRSPs, Registered Retirement Savings Plans. So those are different ways you can save your money. There are two things to consider when you're going to save your money, when you're going to invest your money. Do you want your principal to be guaranteed? So do you want to make sure the money that you're putting in to save is always there? So either yes, you do, which means you're going to look for a more secure investment, such as a savings account or a GIC or a bond. So you don't want to lose money, you don't want to have less money than what you invested. Or no, you're willing to forego the security of keeping your principal, and you can look at things like stocks or mutual funds. And the second thing to look at is, when do you need the investment money? So there's two options. It's either a short-term investment or a long-term investment. So short-term investments are generally good in savings accounts, GICs, and bonds. Long-term investments do better in stocks and mutual funds. So a guaranteed principal investment, like a GIC, these can be purchased from a bank or a financial institution for many different amounts and different time periods. At the end of each term, the principal plus the interest is returned to the investor. You may get your money early if you have a cashable GIC. Interest rates are posted and can be simple or compound interest. So at the time of investing your money, you'd see a chart, something like this, published by the bank, and it gives you different time frames that you can guarantee your investment for. You can see 30 days, 90 days, 120 days, a year, 2 years, 3 years, year, 2 years, 3 years, and it gives you different interests. You can have simple interest, you can have compound interest, and it shows you the different rates based on how long you leave the money in for and the type of interest. So if we determine the interest earned on a 4-year non-registered GIC of $10,000, so a non-registered GIC of $10,000 for 4 years would fall under this category right here. Whoops, I think I went too far. Yep, I went too far. So if it's non-registered, there's the interest rate we're getting. for 4 years. So simple interest, remember our simple interest formula, principal times rate times time. So the principal is $10,000. Our rate is 0.017, and for 4 years is our time. And if we do that on our calculator, we get about $680 in interest if we invest $10,000 for 4 years in that GIC. If I look at the same thing, but with compound interest, here's my compound interest for 4 years at the same rate, 1.7%. My compound interest formula is P bracket 1 plus I to the n. And my principal is still $10,000, 1 plus 0.017 compounded annually for 4 years. And I get a total amount of $10,697.54, which means my interest was $697.54. Subtract 10,000 from the accumulated amount. So I've earned more interest, as we knew, using compound interest. Government savings bonds. Government savings bonds are investments of money for the government to use in order to build infrastructure, so roads, hospitals, things like that. Government savings bonds can be purchased during certain time periods of the year and in different amounts, so different principal amounts. When the bond matures, the investor receives the face value of the bond plus the interest earned. Bonds can earn simple interest paid annually or compound interest paid on the date the bond matures, so at the end of the time. Investments without a guaranteed principal. Mutual funds is one of those. A mutual fund is a large pool of money that's used by the manager of the fund to buy stocks, bonds, and other assets. Each investor owns a number of units of the fund, which translates into a portion of the assets of the pool. Mutual funds are managed by investment companies or banks and charge a % fee for management. The rate of return, or the interest, on a mutual fund is not constant, and it depends on the value of the assets purchased by the manager. Rates of return for mutual funds are stated for different periods of time and can be used only as a guide for what might happen in the future. The actual rate of return is the stated rate minus the fee. Money is actually made on a mutual fund when you sell your units. To determine the number of units a fund XYZ can be purchased with $2,500 if each unit is $12.72. So the number we can buy, we take the total amount of money we have and divide by what each one costs. And that means we can buy 196.54 shares. The average rate of return for the fund, PQR, is 5.3%, and the management fee is 2.25%. If you invest $500 now, how much will this investment be worth in 3 years? Assume annual compounding. So our formula for compound interest is P bracket 1 plus I to the n. I have $500 principal, 1 plus 0.0305 is my interest for 3 years. And when I use my compound formula, I get $547.15. Oh, you may be wondering where the 0.0305 comes from. So we talked about management fees. The average rate of return for the fund is 5.3%, and the management fee is 2.25%. The rate you are going to get on your investment is the average rate of return of the fund minus the fee. So the rate you're actually getting is 3.05%. And when you change 3.05 to decimal, 0.0305. So be careful with the management fee. It comes off of your interest. If you invested, let's look at another example. If you invested $1,000 in Fund ABC last year when the price was $5.87, The current price is $5.12. How much is your investment worth today? So when we had $1,000, the number of units we bought was $1,000 divided by what each one costs, which is 170.36. Currently, each one of those is $5.12. So the current value is the number that I have, 170.36, times how much each one is worth, which is $5.12. So I have $872.24 is what my investment is worth today, which means it's less than the principal I started with. That is where stocks you have to be all right with not having the principal you started with. So a stock is a small ownership or a stake in a company. Once you buy a stock, you are called a shareholder of the company. The value of your stock will rise or fall depending on the performance of the company. So stocks have different risks and rates of return based on the company that's being purchased. When a stock is bought or sold, a commission is charged by the stockbroker based on the transaction. Stocks are traded on a stock exchange such as the TSC, the Toronto Stock Exchange, or the New York Stock Exchange, the NYSE. In order to make money on stocks, you must be prepared to wait until the stock price rises. So you've got to keep your stocks invested until they're more than what you bought them for. Where does that leave us? Go back a page. Oh, I did not put the questions on there. You'll have to look at the outline to see what you are to do with that information.